I don't even know what the sound
You're
is.
right. I can't. You are right. Okay, here we go. We're on page 128, 129. Some of you have started doing it already. That's awesome because you're ahead of the game. But we're going to read over it and go through it together because we've got some confusion. And we're starting a short little unit on viruses here. Why won't that go away? Go away. See how I'm clicking this arrow and it won't go away?
Yeah, I am.
That's kind of maddening. But that's the way technology goes.
You did good last year. You did.
Okay, textbook page 140. Okay, all right. What are viruses? And our objective today is to describe the structure of a virus. Why is this so blurry? Nobody knows. Okay, it's fine. All right, it's a little better, I guess. Okay, key terms. Obviously, virus is the first one. A non-living particle made up of a piece of nucleic acid covered with a protein. So, again, these textbooks are a little older. There is constant debate on whether viruses are living or non-living. They exhibit some properties of living things, but they also have many properties of non-living things, meaning that they can't reproduce without a host, among some other things. Okay, let's see. Next one is capsid, CAPSID. That is a protein covering of a virus, and that's what's going to give viruses its shape and how they can be classified, identified. Like coronavirus. Coronavirus, identified by shape. All right, next word is not bacteriography. It is bacteriophage. Bacteriophage. Okay, it's a virus that infects bacteria. And that's the one, if you've ever seen like a sci-fi movie, you might see those.
A virus is a
Virus-looking
non-living
things.
particle. Bam! Just solved all your guys' problems.
Yeah. Okay, so Jake is volunteering to read the first paragraph.
Okay.
Go ahead, buddy.
A virus is a non-living particle. It is very different from a living cell. A virus does not have any organelles. Viruses do not grow, take in food, or make waste. A virus is just a piece of nucleic acid covered with an outer coat of protein called a capsid. Capsid?
Capsid.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yep.
A capsid makes up most of viruses and gives it its shape. Some viruses are round, others look like long rods, like one in figure 511.
Yep.
Oh, I almost said 911. I almost said 911. This virus attacks and destroys bacteria. A virus that infects bacteria cells is called bacteriography. Viruses depend on living cells in order to reproduce.
All right, so if it infects bacteria, it's called a bacteriophage. Okay, PHAGE is phage at the end of that. Okay, viruses depend on living cells in order to reproduce. So in that paragraph, it said a number of things of why some people do not consider viruses to be living. They don't grow, they don't take in food or make waste. Okay, but they can reproduce only with the help of a host. All right, next paragraph is titled Reproduction in Viruses. Okay. And here is a picture, a drawing of a bacteriophage. Okay, you got the nucleic acid in the head of the virus. The capsid is what gives it its shape. You got a tail and tail fibers. Reproduction, even though they are not living, viruses are like living cells in one important way. They are able to reproduce more viruses. However, viruses can reproduce more viruses only inside a living cell. Okay. Scientists first learned about reproduction in viruses by studying bacteriophages. Figure 512 shows a bacteriophage reproducing. When a bacteriophage attacks a bacterial cell, it uses special proteins in its tail fibers to attach itself to the surface of the surface of the cell. I'm off. The virus then gives off enzymes, a type of chemical. The enzymes make a hole in the cell wall of the bacterium. The genetic material of the virus is injected into the cell through this hole. Once inside, the virus takes control of the cell. The genetic material from the virus directs the cell to make new virus parts. The parts form new viruses. The cell membrane bursts, releasing the new viruses. The new viruses attack other cells. Okay, so I like to think of it like in those spy movies, you know, where the person attaches to the window and they use that like glass cutting thing. No, Danny's nodding, right? Okay. So like it attaches and then it cuts out like a circle in the glass instead of like breaking the glass. And then they like either enter or pull out whatever they need. Okay, that's how I picture the bacteria phase. You can see it, it's attaching to the cell, and then it like has an enzyme that creates a hole in that cell. All right, injects its material. Okay, that material, that genetic material says, here's directions to make more viruses. Here's direction to make more viruses. Here's direction to make more viruses. And you see all those new viruses inside a cell. Eventually, that cell becomes so loaded with viruses that the cell membrane bursts and releases all those viruses into wherever it is. Okay, and those all contain instructions to make more. Yeah.
Got a question for number 5 and 3.
Okay, we'll get there.
All right.
Bingo. I just want to
The
continue.
same answer for both of them.
Okay. We'll talk about it. So here are the 5 steps. Can, I guess kind of be formed into 4 steps. We'll talk about that in our notes today. All right. A virus can enter a cell and remain inactive or dormant. However, when activated, the virus can cause disease. Have you ever had a cold sore? A cold sore is caused by a virus that may remain dormant in your cells for years. So cold sores affect usually your lips. Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah, I've had one of those. I mean, so you don't constantly have them. The virus can remain dormant, meaning it's not active, and then just come up when conditions are ideal, cells are under stress, and cause it. Okay. Last paragraph here on this page, on page 128, is when viruses leave the cell is often destroyed. This is what causes some infections in people with a cold or flu virus. Other kinds of viruses reproduce differently. For example, when the HIV virus takes over a cell, it can force the cell to release new viruses gradually by budding without causing the cell to burst. Okay. Last paragraph or last section. Anybody want to read about classifying viruses? All right, Mr. Dayton does. Oh, Carter?
No, I thought that was a question.
Oh.
You know I would want to.
Oh, what? Sometimes you do. Classifying viruses. Okay, I won't put anybody on the spot, even though this is your chance. There's only 11 people in here. Okay. Because viruses do not have all the characteristics of living things, they are not classified in the 5-kingdom system. We talk about the 6-kingdom system. Scientists used to classify viruses based on the type of organism they infected. For example, there were plant viruses, animal viruses, viruses that infect bacteria. Today, scientists classify these viruses based on their shape and structure, hence the coronavirus, right? Coronavirus is based on its shape, okay? And other ones are based on, that are similar to it or based on their shape, okay? Now I lost my spot. Oh, yeah. There are 3 basic characteristics used to classify viruses. One is the structure of their capsid. Another characteristic is type of nucleic acid they contain. And viruses can be DNA viruses or RNA viruses. The last characteristic is the way in which the virus reproduces. Okay, so there's the lytic cycle and the lysogenic cycle for viruses.
I'm stuck on number 8.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Sometimes the common name of a virus is based on the disease that it causes. For example, the virus that causes the plant disease tobacco mosaic disease is called the tobacco mosaic virus. Common name for the virus that causes rabies is the rabies virus.
The rabies virus.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the number of ways that they classify viruses. Okay, number 1, everybody. Go ahead, Carter.
Okay. A virus is a piece of nucleic acid
Covered with a
covered
protein.
with a protein coat.
Bingo. Yeah, Wes?
Television.
Scientists classify viruses based on their shape and structure.
Shape and structure, good. For number 2, everybody caught up here? I don't want to go too fast. Everybody good?
That's what we have.
Jacob?
A virus that infects a bacteria cell is called a bacteriophage.
Bingo. All right, I thought you were going to go with bacteriography.
So did I.
Bacteriophage, that one seems to be the easiest to remember. It affects bacteria. It's a bacteriophage. Number 4. Yeah.
Viruses can reproduce more viruses from the inside of living cell.
Only inside living cells. I would accept host cells.
All cells. No.
No, not all cells.
Number 5 is the one I got stuck.
Number 5. Go ahead. Go ahead, Aiden.
Scientists first learned about reproduction in viruses by studying bacteriophage.
Yep.
Yes,
So-
sir.
Okay, so that's the same answer as 3.
Yep, I knew that one.
Bacteriography.
Did you go?
Bacteriophage.
Bacteriophage.
Now you're saying
I know.
Okay.
Number 6, everybody.
How does a virus differ from a living cell? Well, a virus doesn't classify as any of the 5 kingdoms.
Sure, good.
And
How
it
else?
doesn't and it has characteristics of non-living.
Sure. What do some living things do that viruses do not? Go
Well,
ahead.
I was going to say that viruses do not have organelles.
They don't have organelles. They don't eat food. They don't create waste, right?
They don't produce food.
They can't reproduce on their own. They need to infect a living cell. Or, yeah. Okay, so any of those things there would be acceptable. And hypothesize, why is it difficult to classify viruses? Jacob?
They have non-living characteristics.
Yeah, so they have non-living characteristics. They're classified based on different things like their shape and structure, the way they reproduce, whether they have DNA or RNA. There's many different characteristics there.
I'm stuck on number 8.
Number 8. Let's go through the steps. Viral reproduction. Okay, number 1, just we can list it. Attach to a cell.
Yeah.
Wait, that's the steps of the viral reproduction.
Number 1, attach to cell. That's 3 words. Step 2, inject genetic material. That could be, so you could say inject DNA or RNA.
Wait, inject.
Inject, INJECT. Then you could say for step 3, cell makes viruses. I'm making this real simple. I kind of skipped a step. Step 4, after you write cell makes viruses, cell bursts, releasing viruses. Now I know they had 5 steps on page 128. I combined step 3 and 4 kind of, just because you can.
The cell membrane. All right, so burst viruses.
Thank you.
Everybody good there? Okay, quick little supplemental lesson on viruses. All right.
That was one of the easier ones.
You know why it was so easy?
Because it has writing in it. Mine has writing of words
No.
like number 6.
Because we had 11 people in here, and there's not that many distractions going on.
No, I'm pretty sure because I looked at where all the numbers were
Yeah,
and I read the sentence.
nice.
Why does this one have numbers in it?
I don't know. You got lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Not done.
No way. We got so much time. If we continue to go fast or continue to stay on pace, we'll be all right. Keep your notebook
Now
out.
we have an activity sheet.
Do
it.
Copy all this down.
Yeah.
I called it.
Okay, your virus test will be next week.
What day?
Not sure yet. Not Monday.
Hopefully not Monday.
Not Monday. So yeah.
If
Okay.
it's Monday, we better be able to use our notes.
I don't even know.
So you can take these notes, or you need to take these notes, I should say.
Yeah, okay.
Your quiz will include some more true false. The activity sheet that we'll do today includes some true false, so it'll prepare you. Okay, it'll include a review of bacteria. So it's going to be a virus/bacteria quiz. Now remember, they are not the same thing. Even though they can both cause like sicknesses in you, they are not the same thing. All right. All right. First one. Virus doesn't have a nucleus, cytoplasm, organelles. It is not a complete cell.
Virus.
It's considered non-living by many scientists.
Ryan.
All right. Sweet. But what it does contain is nucleic acid, whether that be deoxyribonucleic acid or ribonucleic acid. That would be DNA or RNA. And it has a protein coat. Protein coat, part of it is called the capsid, right? We talked about that just now in the textbook assignment. And those have many shapes. This nucleic acid, DNA or RNA. Oh no. Oh, look at this. Not good. Infinity mirror, infinity mirror.
Oh no.
I see so many Mr. Daytons.
I see like just so many. I see 4 Mr. Daytons.
Infinity mirror, dude. Okay, there we go. Okay, so they come in many shapes, and many of them are named or classified based on their shapes. Like the coronavirus. Go ahead. I'm gonna get it back up there. Okay, what is corona literally translate to?
Virus.
No, not virus. It translates to a shape. It's Latin for crown. Okay, crown, roughly to crown, due to its shape.
COVID
Okay.
is circular. No,
It's like a ball, yeah, but like it's
Hey, yo.
the spike proteins that stick out of the COVID virus. Okay,
they're like
kind of make it look like you got to kind of work with them there. Like it looks like a crown.
They don't. The little things that stick out almost look like suckers. Like because they got like they stick out and then they got almost like the little
Yeah.
thicker things on the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. See, he gets it. No, it looks like a maze.
That's what it looks like.
Okay. So anyway, they have many shapes, and many of them are named based on their shapes. The coronavirus is not the only, like COVID-19 is not the only coronavirus that we've ever seen. There are other coronaviruses. Okay. That don't cause COVID-19. They
Why
cause
is it
other.
COVID-19? Is it the 19th one that we found?
No. Why? Who knows why it was called COVID-19?
Like, why is it COVID-21?
It was discovered in Aaliyah had it. Okay. No one's listening. It is not the 19th version of it. It was discovered in 2019, right, Dennis? Okay. It didn't reach the United States until like early 2020, right? Remember? Then we went on quarantine. Okay. Yeah.
Scientists were being stupid and then let it out in the
All right. We're not getting into that. Next. All right. A virus doesn't grow. Another example of why some people don't consider them living. It does not grow. It can only multiply inside a living cell. It needs another cell to reproduce inside of. We would call that a host cell. The hostess with the mostest. Okay. Oh. That's nice.
That's the sound that
And then there's that
my
made like
mother made
formulas
last
for the
year when I
doctors.
stomped
I
on
can
it.
do that too.
Please don't. I can do it with my hands on my mouth.
Oh, it's like third track.
No, I don't want to. I don't want the third flag.
Oh, see, you say, well, so you don't want to be late.
Carter, you're tempting me to do my mouth part.
Do it. You won't.
All right. Moving on.
Yes, sir.
So the DNA or the RNA contains directions for making new viruses. It injects that. Okay. Injected into host cell. That cell says, all right, I'll make more of you. Got tricked.
Wait, what is that?
Injected. Sorry, yeah, that's pretty. Into.
Writing down what is in, what has been typed. I am writing down any extra stuff.
You're gonna hurt my feelings.
I already wrote down the extra COVID
Real
is a
quick,
frown.
that was the loudest one I've ever heard.
What? What is that? Okay, that
It's his
was.
tongue.
That's my mouth.
What? How? Wow.
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 Loaded tongue.
Hmm.
Loaded finger too.
Wait, no.
Okay, here we go. Next one. An example of the harmful virus is the flu, right? It causes influenza. There are some examples of helpful viruses. Okay,
You know my sheet's getting not there.
you can cross off page 130. An example of a helpful virus, the tulip breaking virus. It's like a mosaic virus. And what it does, or has done in the past, is cause tulips to have mixed colorings.
That's cool.
Okay, yeah, I mean, It's a mutation. It gets spread from tulip to tulip via aphid.
So next number 5.
No, it's not.
So an example of that, here you go.
Juicy.
The tulip baking virus. Obviously, like, hey, look, that's pretty pretty. That's caused by a virus, actually. So,
Can a human get that and have mixed colors?
no.
Wait, what happens if it does it inside sunflower? Will it explode?
I don't know. I don't know if it affects sunflowers. Okay. Number 5, viruses typically attack cells that are weak. Okay. Easier to attack.
I'm just listing them right now.
Yeah, same.
How many more do we have to know? I'm just copying.
One more, Danny. One more.
6. Viruses.
68, you mean?
10.
No, the next number is good.
And then finally, number 6, viruses can remain inactive in a body or a cell. That would be called, and I'm sorry, I'm writing so terribly.
You're right.
Latent. We call them latent or dormant. And like that is an example. The example that was given is the cold sore.
Wait, what is cold sore?
Cold sore, yeah. That is the herpes simplex virus, but 1.
You already know my page is broken.
How is your page broken?
Herpes simplex virus 1 is causes the cold sore. Okay, down here. Here we have the lytic cycle. Now, number 4 is cut off. Okay, here you don't necessarily have to draw this, but
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna draw it. So
that's how.
no, I'm not gonna draw it.
Attaches itself, drills its way in.
So lytic cycle, attach, inject, then it produces, assembles. Another fancy word is biosynthesis. And then step 4, I don't know where I'm going to write that. Got cut off.
You think I have
Is called lysis. Okay, where they release the virus.
You can get released. You are released of your duty.
Mine.
What?
So
Stop.
you-
Let's go.
Is that actually what a virus looks like?
That's what bacteriophages look like. Not all of them look like that though. So they have different shapes. Like this is its capsid right
It
here.
looks like a light bulb.
I know.
No, that is.
There are actually like there are activities that you can look up online too that where you can make a virus replica using like light bulbs and pipe cleaners and stuff.
It looks like a light bulb. No.
Okay, so those are the 4 steps of the lytic cycle: attachment, injection, production, and assembly. Okay, 3 and 4 could be split into 2 different steps, or 3 could be split into 2 different steps. Step 4 is lysis and release. Okay, so good with that? Virus notes, awesome stuff.
Wait.
We're done now.
No. Look at, we're just rolling. We are having such a great time.
Yes, we are.
All right, stand up.
No, the virus
touch.
itself.
3 yellow things.
Yellow. Oh,
1, 2, 3.
oh my
The
God.
kid that's colorblind.
1, 2,
Bam.
No, that would be eight.
The kid that's colorblind.
Yes.
I touched my 3 yellow
2, 3.
fingers.
Yeah.
1,
No, oh, yep, yep.
Okay.
Guys, y'all have pencils, right? They're yellow.
Yo,
Yes,
yo.
yeah.
This is D. This is
I-
D.
Are you fighting? Oh, no. Right, yellow.
Thank you.
Mr. Day, can I do my mouth work?
Who's book? Who's beat?
Just do it. No, B-Day.
Yeah.
It's a B-Day.
Oh, I get it.
Oh my God. Jacob's
I
very
am.
funny.
All right, have a seat.
See?
Oh my gosh. Oh, stop.
Part of that was West.
That was you.
That's West.
I draw cell.
I'll take that.
I got a test.
Look, I draw cell. I draw.
Okay, so you have been given the virus little activity sheet. I'm going to first read to you a little bit about the history of smallpox and vaccination. Okay, smallpox was one of the deadliest diseases known to mankind, and it's pretty much been eradicated. Okay, so here we go. For many centuries, smallpox devastated mankind. In modern times, we don't have to worry about it thanks to the remarkable work of Edward Jenner and the later developments from his endeavors. With the rapid pace of vaccine development in recent decades, the historic origins of immunization, are often forgotten. Unfortunately, since the attack on the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001, the threat of biological warfare and bioterrorism has reemerged. Who knows what biological warfare is?
Biologically war.
What's that? Aiden?
Like using like viruses and diseases against enemies.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Like, instead of, using bombs or guns or whatever, they could try to introduce a virus, a strain of virus to a large population of people and use it as warfare. Carter?
Wait, so Edward Jenner.
Yeah, you're on the worksheet.
developed the first
Yeah,
vaccine?
that's why I'm reading this. So, smallpox has been identified as a possible agent of bioterrorism. It seems prudent to review the history of a disease known to few people in the 21st century. Okay, Edward Jenner, that's this guy right here, super blurry and all grainy and what have you, is well known around the world for his innovative contribution to immunization and the ultimate eradication of smallpox. Eradication means it's like completely gone. We eradicate it. Okay. Jenner's work is widely regarded as a foundation of immunology, despite the fact that he was neither the first to suggest that infection with cowpox conferred specific immunity to smallpox, nor the first to attempt cowpox inoculation for this purpose. So he wasn't the first guy to suggest it, but this guy, Edward Jenner, was essentially the developer of the first vaccine. Okay.
Hey, I can't write checks, so can I just put true?
What? You can write checks. Okay, so let's talk about this.
It shows you.
Uh-huh.
That's my check right now.
Okay, let's talk about this. Number one, we're gonna go around and talk about it. A parasite may harm the organism on which it depends. What do you think? True or false? Parasites can definitely harm organisms that they depend on. In many cases, they do. Okay. Now, we didn't talk about this, but number two, this is a true statement. Some RNA and DNA viruses can change healthy cells in your body into cancerous tumor cells. An example is HPV,
That's on the test.
human papillomaviruses. Okay.
Is this next one's false, right?
I mean, I have a 99.
Hold on.
99.99999% chance of failing.
You said that on the Q1
It's always
test, and yet
1%.
you're still in 7th grade. Sorry, what?
What? You don't automatically just, okay, you're in 6th grade now, you're too bad for this.
I kind of thought that's how it worked.
It's not how that works.
Anthony.
I wouldn't know because I
And that
never
cousin was held back because he didn't
I
call
wouldn't know because I
the
never failed a class.
The whole year I've been getting one in sixth grade.
In 6th grade, I read 8.
This man on the online.
So, an example of a virus that can cause cancer is HPV. That's human papillomavirus. Okay. Hepatitis C can help cause liver cancer. Yeah. Anyway, point is that it's true. Okay. Next, viruses are classified as members of the kingdom Monera. True or false? Yeah, that'd be false. You can either leave it blank or write no. Okay. They are not. Okay. Next, Edward Jenner developed the first vaccine. Yep. That would be smallpox. That's why nobody you know has ever had smallpox.
All
Because
viruses
we
contain
can
DNA.
My uncle had chickenpox.
Chickenpox, very good.
Chicken
Different.
pox were native for that.
Now, all viruses contain DNA. What do you think about that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
no.
No, wait, obviously it's false since he said shook his head. I knew that.
Why am I shaking my head though?
Because you said false.
Because banana.
What did we read about in the textbook?
Because banana.
If they don't contain DNA, they got to contain something.
RNA.
RNA, right? They don't all have to contain DNA. So that would be no, right? All viruses contain DNA? No.
Whoa.
Mm-mm. They can contain RNA.
I can continue. Yeah, you will.
I'm just fixing these to make them or like leaving a little note. Okay, they are not living. That's for number 3. That's why I put that there. Okay, and then Edward Jenner developed the smallpox vaccine. Can contain RNA. Jacob, read number 6.
The shape of all viruses is spherical like a basketball. No, no, it is not.
Nope.
I hit a cup.
Many shapes.
You look confused.
I am.
He is as confused as a confused.
Okay, number 7.
As a what?
The core of a virus is surrounded by a protein called
Yes.
true.
Yeah, and anyone know the name of that protein called?
Capsid.
Yeah, that would be
I literally-
capsid.
I'm the smartest man in the history of science.
No, you're not.
How about
I'm pretty sure.
number 8?
Yeah.
Zach, what do you think? Number 8 says, read it. Latent.
Latent
Viruses can hide inside of themselves for a long time.
What do you think?
Yeah.
True, yep.
True.
I knew that one.
Yeah, I'm so
You know?
smart. Viruses.
Oh my gosh, this marker.
In a protist, fungi, bacteria, plant.
All right, this one we didn't really talk about. But we did, well, we talked about tulips. Okay, we know they can infect bacteria because we talked about bacteriophages.
They can affect animals. Not
They can affect animals. Yep, they can definitely affect. So we plants, bacteria, animals, fungi. Yes, they can infect fungi.
Bam.
And protists, they can, yes.
Yes.
So there are viruses that affect many different things. So gene therapy, we didn't talk about this at all. Gene therapy involves the transfer of DNA. So no.
Zach is assaulting me.
Guess what?
Do we need to move seats?
Yes.
You're
Yes.
Okay, so viruses are smaller than cells for number 11. Can we see them using a general compound microscope?
No.
No. You need an electron microscope?
A virus can reproduce with the
No.
No. Number 12 is no as well. Can't reproduce without a host cell.
falses in a row.
I know. And then finally, the capsid gives a virus its shape.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Okay. The protein coat, okay, that's what gives it its shape. Like the coronavirus looks similar to a crown. Okay,
And that's because of its capsid.
very good. Protein spikes around it. Okay. That's right. Jake's like, let's go. All right, let's go down here. Now, what is this? Some of you might have gotten this, and I don't need to hear about it if you haven't or don't want to. What is this shot? Vaccine. I spelled vaccine wrong. I am just
It's VACCINE.
vaccine.
Spelled
There
it
you go.
right.
Oh,
Vaccine. Okay, and now this is changing, but vaccines, they can be made of the weakened form of the virus. They can be made with dead viruses. Okay, just parts of the virus.
Or a non-living virus, like a replica.
Yeah. The COVID-19 vaccine was an mRNA vaccine. Okay, mRNA, messenger RNA, contains the directions to help stop the production of the virus in your body.
So it's like it tells your cells in your body, hey, don't listen to this. Don't let it.
Well, yep, doesn't allow it to affect it.
Right. Because like it attaches to the cell and tells it, hey, make this recipe.
Why does this
And
guy have a
that
bunch of
vaccine
circles
is like,
Because this
you
virus.
make sure that you don't do what this type of cell says.
Yeah,
on?
pretty much. That was bingo, right? Simplified.
I'm
Okay.
so smart, I'm so smart.
Now, name the 4 steps. This would be the lytic cycle.
Oh, I got.
Okay, so Aaliyah,
Attachment
yep,
injection.
Aaliyah started attachment. Number 1, gotta attach to its host, then inject. Then we would go to like production / assembly. Production is the making of the parts. Assembly means putting all the parts together. And then last would be release. We call this lysis.
First.
Yeah, the cell membrane bursts.
I'm done.
Pretty cool, right?
I'm finished too.
Yeah.
All right. Nicely done. You guys are focusing. I will just throw up something here now.
What? You're gonna throw something else? Hey, do I turn this in?
No, hang on to it because you
No, those are
can
notes, bro.
use it for studying purposes.
These are better notes.
All right.
My mouth part now.
No, don't
No,
don't do the mouth part. Okay, here we go. We have the top 10 historical killers. You don't have to write anything down.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 1, it's a disease that you've never even had to deal with in your whole entire life, but smallpox. Okay, what's that? Yeah, you can put your notes away. Smallpox, that's caused by a virus.
Cancer. No, but there's 8 of this.
Bubonic plague.
What are you
Not
doing?
You're stretching, don't judge him. You're laughing, don't judge him.
Is this some bubonic plague, like a black death or something?
Okay, now bubonic plague. Have you learned about that in social studies yet? The
Is
black.
it like the black death?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
caused by
now-
fleas.
Not yet.
Yeah, and what is the flea infected with?
Rats.
The fleas infect the rats, right?
And then the rats bite you, and
Then you can spread it to others. Okay, do you know if this is caused by virus or not?
no.
No, what is it? No.
It's caused by fleas.
Yeah, but the fleas are infected by
Rat, a virus,
no, not a virus, a bacteria.
a bacteria.
This is a bacteria, a bacterium. Okay.
H1N1.
Spanish flu, H1N1 virus.
Virus.
That was in like 1919, 1920, right?
Seasonal flu. is
Seasonal
also a
flu virus.
Seasonal flu.
Tuberculosis would be a bacteria, I think, right?
I gotta look that one up. TB, tuberculosis.
I think it's a bacteria. I don't know.
Yes, very good. Tuberculosis is bacteria.
Malaria.
Now, malaria. Malaria, anyone know how malaria is caused? We don't get malaria around here. We typically would get,
Malaria is caused by a virus.
Yep, I know it.
I mean a bacteria.
no.
Caused by a virus.
Okay, it's actually caused by a protist.
It's caused by a
Okay.
protist.
Yep.
It's caused by a protist.
Didn't know if you guys wanted to know that.
Caused by the
Dude, what, how is malaria spread to humans though?
by the hugs.
Anyone ever heard of malaria and mosquitoes? Mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mosquitoes. A protist in mosquitoes. We don't get it around here. We get like West Nile virus or the Zika virus. Have you ever heard of West Nile?
No.
No? West Nile virus in mosquitoes? Okay. Protist in mosquitoes. What it is? I forgot it because I gotta look it up. The protist that causes malaria. Oh yeah. It is Plasmodium. We will look at Plasmodium under a microscope and it affects blood cells. Okay.
Bacteria.
Cholera.
Bacteria.
Okay.
Yep.
Whoever gets to make noise, I'm
Who?
gonna make my noise.
I'm so smart. I'm
You
so
too.
I'm big brain today.
You are big brain.
I'm big brain today.
HIV is a virus.
I'm guessing these. I've been guessing these. I don't know a single one.
How do you
And then
do that?
cancer is a mutation in cells. And also, virus can cause some cancer, not a lot. Okay. Let's see.
No. See, he gets to make this noise. He gets to make this noise. You don't want-
No, nobody gets to make their noise.
Yeah, that's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abel. He said no.
Go ahead, do that.
Let's see. No noises, we said. Not.
Hey, Abel.
Okay.
No noises.
All right. I think that's all I really wanted. Okay. Just know that the most historical killer of all time, is really no longer with us. Vaccine. Okay. But yeah, cancer is another huge one that we are still trying to find out ways to combat it. Okay. That's pretty much all we had today. Big shout out to Edward Jenner. It is not time to leave yet though.
Edward.